Hi, boys and girls. We're going to read the book, The Best of Times by Greg Tang. Now, this is a book that's going to help us with multiplication fast facts. So if you're struggling with multiplication fast facts and you feel like your toolbox is pretty full and you're still having a hard time, perhaps one of these strategies will help you with that. Now, remember, with fast facts, we're looking at typically one-digit numbers that are going to be multiplied together in order to come up with a product, a simple product that we would call. And many of your teachers previously, I'm sure, have told you to memorize them, put them in your head, lock away the key. But we really want to teach you strategies that are going to help you be able to come up with them when you can't remember, I can't remember 7 times 6. These are going to be some extra strategies here. So here is the best of times. Absolute zero. Zero is a cinch to do. The answer's right in front of you. For every problem, it's the same. Zilch or zero is the name. So when we use problems, any problem multiplied by zero is going to be zero. Think about it like money. If I have $0 in the bank and I try to multiply that by 5, I'm still going to have no money in the bank, right? One way. One is simple as can be. It's known as the identity. So this is the identity property. So the identity property tells us that whatever the factor is times 1 is going to be the answer. The answer to identify, it's the one you multiply, right? So you can give me the largest number you could think of. Think of the largest number. The largest number I can think of just right off the top of my head is 1 billion. So let's say 1 billion. And I have just one group of 1 billion. So 1 times 1 billion is going to be 1 billion. 2-step. 2 is very fast and fun. Quickly double and you're done. What's that you say? Be more precise. Okay, then just add it twice. So if we take 2 times 8, for example, right? 8 is the factor that we're looking at. So it would be 8 plus 8. We're 8 twice, right? So 2 groups of 8. And 8 plus 8, we know, is 16. So you can take any number and do this. 3 is easy as can be if you triple what you see. In other words, just add it thrice. It's simple. It's just 1 more than twice. So if we take our groups and double them and then add 1 more group, we're going to get our answer to 3's. So for example, if we do 3 times 9, you're taking 2 groups of 9. So double 9, which would be 18. And then add another group of 9. So 3 times 9 is 18 plus 9, or 27. 4 eyes. 4 is very fast to do. When you multiply by 2, here's a little good advice. Please just always double twice. So we've already worked on doubling. Get to do it now twice. So let's do 4 times 7, right? So we're taking that factor that's not 4. It's 7, taking 7, and we're going to double it first, all right? So think about 4 times 2, or 7 times 2, or 7 plus 7 would be 14, right? Now, 14 plus 14 is going to be our answer, right? So 2 groups of that number or factor doubled. So 7 plus 7 is 14. 14 plus 14 is 28. So 4 times 7 is 28. 5 alive. Now I know you guys are good at your 5s. 5 will yield or bring the right amount if by 5s you always count. So you can count up on your fingers, right? 5 times 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Or else just multiply by 10. Half will get you there again. So instead of doing 5 times 5, what you can think of is 5 times 10. So take that factor that's not 5. If we do 5 times 5, you just have to take one of the factors that's, 5, I guess, and multiply it by 10. So 5 times 10, right? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Divided by 2 is 25. So both of those are really good strategies. It gets more difficult, of course, when you start giving factors that aren't 5s, right? So let's say 5 times 7, right? So in this way, we can say 7 times 10, which would be 70, and divide that by 2. Think about that answer for a second. Did you get 35? Hopefully you did. 6 cents. 6 is pretty quick to do. Just multiply by 3, then 2. If this sounds like too much trouble, you triple first and then you double. So let's look at 6 times 4. Remember, we're looking at the factor that's not 6. So let's look at 4. We're going to triple 4, or do 4 times 3. So 3 groups of 4. 4 times 3. Hopefully you got 12. All right, and then you're taking 12. So that answer, don't go back to 4. Take that answer, which is 12, and then double it. So 12 plus 12. 6 times 4 is going to be 12 plus 12, or 24. 7 heaven. 7 doesn't take much time, even though it is a prime. And many of you know prime. That means that the only factors of 7 are 7 and 1. Here is all you have to do. First times 5 and then add times 2. So this is where we get really tricky, right? Let's go back to that problem that would be 5 times. So let's go to 7 times 7. And this is going to take us to 5 times 7, right? Because we want to take one of those factors, which is 7, and we want to multiply it by 5 first, right? So if we think back to the problem I had given you, which is 5 times 7, do 10 times 7, which is 70, and divide it by 2. You can also count it by 5s, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So 5 times 7 is 35. Not our answer yet, right? Because now we're doing 7 times 2. So 7 times 2, 7 plus 7, 7 doubled. It's going to be 14. 35 plus 14 is going to be 49. We can do the same thing with, let's do 7 times 5. So we do have to backtrack just a little bit. So it's going to be 5 times 5 first, right? Because we're taking the factor that's not 7, unless it's 7 times 7, in which case you can have to take 7. But 7 times 5, 5 times 5 is 25, plus 2 times 5 is 10. So 25 plus 10 is 35. And that's 7s. They're tricky. Keep working on them. Crazy 8. 8 is very much like 4. Simply double, but once more. Since 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, doubling 3 times works just great. So let's try this with 8 times 6. This is going to be 6 because we're taking the factor that's not 8, doubled 3 times. So if I double 6 once, 6 times 2 is 12. I've got to double 12 then. So 12 times 2, or 12 plus 12 is 24. I've got to double that now. So 24 plus 24 is going to be 48. This next problem is going to be the hardest one, or one of the harder ones that all my students struggle with, and that's 8 times 8. So we're just going to take 8 because that's one of our factors, and we're going to double it once. 8 plus 8 is 16. 16 plus 16, or 16 times 2 is 32. And then 32 plus 32, or 32 times 2 is 64. So use this strategy if it's helpful for you, especially for the 8s. This made it a little simpler for Miss Wickham. 9 ball. 9 is faster to compute. If at first you overshoot, here's a very clever tack. Do 10 times and then subtract. So overshooting means to shoot it a little past the number and then take away. And this actually is a really good strategy. So let's take, for example, 9 times 4. I'm going to pretend at first that it's really 10 times 4, right? Because that's really easy for me. 10 times 4 is 40. But then I'm going to subtract a group of 4, not 9, but a group of 4. So if I have that 40, which is 10 times 4, I can take one group away of 4, and I'm going to get 36. And that's 9 times 4. Let's try another one. Let's do 9 times 6, right? So I'm going to do 6 times 10, which is 60, right? And then take away one group of 6. So 60 minus 6 is 54. And that will help us with our 9s. There's many tricks for 9s. I know 9s are kind of one of those where you probably have a plethora of tricks up your sleeve, but I like this one, thinking about it in the 10s, because that kind of helps us practice our 10s, and then we can take a group away. Oh, but here we go with 10s, right? Perfect 10. 10 is such a breeze to do. All because a place value. To quickly multiply by 10, put a 0 at the end. And for my students, this is what we've been working on this week, is tacking on that placeholder, that 0 in at the end. So let's do a good challenge. Let's do 10 times 6, right? Because we just did that. So 10 times 6. You just put that 0 at the end of 6, and you have 60, right? You are using 10 groups of that number to create that 60, or 6 groups of 10. So if we put that, so if I were to say 50 times 10, if I take my 0 and I place it at the end of 50, then I get 500. We're moving our place value over to allow for that 10 to come in. So these were some helpful strategies. I've given you guys some work to do in Google Cloud to make sure that you get done for the next couple days to help you practice these before we move on this week. I hope you've had a great weekend. I miss you all. Have a wonderful day tomorrow, and I will see you on Tuesday.